Quacky Ducks, I'm Megan from Ducks Never Waver, and today I wanted to show you how to hammer dye. I have some lovely examples here of hammer dyeing, and it's such a fun project, and I wanted to show you specifically today that you can hammer dye anything from my shop that has already been plant dyed. So I'm going to show you with these bandanas here. You can see they've already been plant dyed, but we're going to add some fun sparkly flowers on top of them. So it's going to be a really fun project, and I think you're going to love it. How does this even work? How can you transfer the color from a flower, a botanical, a weed, whatever it is? How do you transfer that to fabric, and how do you make a stick? Well, one word, a mordant. What's a mordant? That's a really weird word. Nobody talks like that anymore, but all it means is to bite. And what a mordant does is that the fabric is treated, it's either a salt or a tannin from like oak and stuff like that. Is a mineral that's found in the earth. Alum is one of them. And all you need to know is once you mix it in a pot and you treat the fabric with it, it bites. It grabs onto that fabric for dear life, and it loves that fabric, and it will hang on to it forever. And then when you introduce dye, after that, it says, hey dye, come over here, become part of the fabric. So it's biting onto the dye, it's biting onto the fabric, the mordant's in the middle, and it's a happy party. So that's how you get the beautiful colors, and it stays. So you can wash it, you can wear it, you can live your life and look fabulous, and the dye will stay because of that mordant. That's why everything we have that is plant dyed, whether it's silk or it's cotton or any other fabric, it's always treated with the appropriate mordant, so that you can love your piece for years and years and years. The other cool thing about this mordant is that once it is on your fabric, be it a bandana, be it a towel, or a t-shirt, it doesn't matter what it is. Once it's been treated, it is treated for life. So you can go back at any time, just grab a little Cosmo, put it on your fabric, boop, 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 and have a beautiful spot. You just like are in your garden, you're like, that flower is way too gorgeous. It's gonna wither, it's gonna die, it's gonna fade out of existence. That can't happen. We can't let that happen, guys. Come on. Grab the flower, bring it to your piece, give it a little smack. Be gentle about it. You can be nice about it, but firm. You know, the right amount, and then you have this beautiful project at the end of it. And you can wear it, and anytime that you want to jazz up your shirt, or your bandana, whatever you have, you can do that. What do you actually need to do this? I've kind of talked and like touched on a couple of things. It's called hammer dyeing. So you obviously need a hammer. You probably have one already. If not, just get one. It'll much improve your life, I promise. The other thing you need is probably obvious, is the fabric that you want to put the flower on. So, or the botanical, whatever you want to dye with. So you're gonna need this, and I'll show you a couple options on how you can do this, whether you use one piece or two pieces. That's gonna be up to you. That is a design choice, so we're gonna talk about that a little later. The other thing that you need is a smooth board to hammer on, one that you don't care about it getting dents. Obviously this one's been stained a little bit, so you need something that is just scrap, but you do want it to be smooth so it doesn't snag the fabric and rip it up. This is pretty rough on tables, you know, so find a sturdy table. This one's not sturdy, but we're gonna make it work anyways. But get your smooth board so you don't wreck anything. This is gonna make you much happier. The next thing is you're gonna wanna gather all your pretty dye stuff. So whatever you wanna try dyeing with. I encourage you to experiment with this. But a few of my favorites are coreopsis. I love herbs like sage or parsley is really cool. Cosmos is really nice. So a few things like that. Marigolds is really fun, and I'll show you how to break down a marigold later. Delphinium, sunflower. You want to gather this up and have it all ready. If you're into cooking at all, this is called your mise en place. You have to have everything in place, though that is easy to design. You're just gonna get in the flow. You're gonna be like, oh, this one needs this over here, and that needs to go over there, and you're just gonna be vibing with it. So just get your mise en place ready, and it'll make the whole process go so smoothly. One thing I will say is that you want to make sure that you use up this in the same day, or you hammer dye the same day that you pick it. I've just picked these, so these are perfect and ready to go. What happens is if they sit for a long time, they start to dry out and it's harder to get the pigment into the fabric. So fresh flowers onto dry fabric is the best way to go. An optional supply, which I'll get into again with choosing how you want to make your design, is some parchment paper. Once you use it for plant dyeing, you can reuse it. So that's why you have some weird marks on this one. But just grab some parchment paper. So step one, after you've had your mise en place, which part of that, step one is gathering your flowers. So that's step one, you're set to go. So step two is deciding how you want to lay out your fabric. This is a little bit overwhelming. I'm gonna throw a lot of options out at you, but this is what makes you a fabulous artist, because you get to decide how you're going to print your fabric. One option, if you have something like a t-shirt that's sewn together, has a back and a front, is one option is you can just turn this inside out. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your flowers and you're gonna stick it inside. And you're gonna sandwich it like that so that you have your little sunflower inside of it here. You can see here I've sandwiched this sunflower inside of it. What you would do then is bring it over to your board and you go tap, 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 tap. I always start right, not in the middle, but like right here, go out, and then I tap the middle a little bit. This shirt is done, so I'm not gonna mess with it too much here. But that's one option, is you can do this sandwich situation here. Another option you have here is grabbing your fabric, and this is just a bandana here that we're gonna use. And you can do what would be a mirror image. So again, I'll grab that sunflower because it's nice and big. You can see what I'm doing. So you place it where you want, fold over your fabric, if the wind will let me. The wind is very excited about this project. So here I have this set over it. Again, just a little bump of a plant right there. And I would hammer it. And what would happen is where this was, then there would be the mirror image of it on this side. Now, if you just say, you know what, I just want one flower to do one thing, I totally get that. That's a lot of what I've done here. What you're going to do is just lay out your plant, and you would grab another piece of fabric. This can be scrap. It doesn't have to be treated with mordant. I like to be really efficient with my time, and so I like to do double duty. That's what this towel is actually from, is that we did t-shirts and I laid a mordanted towel over it and made a cool pattern simultaneously. It's a wild world we live in now, guys, I'm telling you. You can do crazy stuff. So, for example, I could just have this bandana down here and lay this bandana right over it, hammer it, and then I would get two sides. Now, the side that's down is always going to be the most colorful. Your third, no, whatever number option we're on now, I don't know. You can tell you have so many things that you can play with when you're doing this. It makes it really fun, and there's no right or wrong answer, and whatever happens is gonna be gorgeous. So you can see I did this whole beautiful design here, and then you flip it over. What? What's this? It's completely white, it's blank? What happened? How did you do this? Well, we just invited our friend parchment paper. I told you it would come in handy later. So again, you just sandwich this under. So what you would do is you would put your flower on here, and you would grab a fabric, sandwich it. So it's like a triple decker sandwich, right? Because you have the bottom of this shirt, you have the parchment, you have the top of the shirt, and you have a bandana. So I don't know how many layers that is. It's a lot of layers. It's like a delicious cake. And then you hammer it and you're done. Once you decide what you're doing in terms of how you're laying out your fabric, then we're on to step 3. Yes, step 3. I've decided here that I'm going to put my flowers on this bandana and sandwich on top a different fabric. So I get 2 prints in one locale instead of the mirror image. How you're gonna wanna do this is you do kinda have to think about right side, wrong side. It's not that complicated, But when this is touching the top of the fabric, that's where the strongest color is going to be, is here. So that means I've put the edge here on the bottom. So this is the right side up. When I sandwich it, I'm gonna put the right side down so that the right sides are touching together. That's just how I'm gonna do it for this example, and then we'll run through some other things. The next thing that you get to do is my favorite part, is lay out some flowers. I got this really puffy coreopsis here, and this is a good one to actually show you when you have something that's more dense, and this has a lot, like, I don't know, I'm counting like 4 layers here, and it has like this really, what's my flower anatomy? What's the center of the flower? The stamen? I'm getting a nod from my producer, something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just chop off a little bit of the stem, because that's going to get in the way. And I remember this one's because I went a little bit ham the first time that I used this flower, and it gooshed. And I was like, well, okay, maybe a little bit too much arm muscles on that one. I'm going to lay this over, say night-night to the flower, grab your hammer, which is step 4. If you're with me on the counting, I'm not really good on math or counting, but I think it's step 4. So now what I like to do is maybe do it like a couple taps in the center just to kind of flatten it just a little bit. And then I go in on the sides and go around and kind of pull out. And like I said, on this one, it gets pretty strong center, so I don't want to smush it too hard all at once. Just take your time. It's loud. That's the one thing. You might want to put earplugs in if you're sensitive to noise, but just take your time, and then progressively you can get harder, like more weight behind the hammer if you're finding that it's not really showing up. But start light and then go heavier, and I kind of like go out, come back in, go out, come back in. So I'm gonna take a peek and see how I did there. Ooh, I think I did good. I'm gonna pull this up, and that's, you wanna make sure you get, I call these flower skeletons, because, you know, I'm normal and all those things. But you can see even like how much color has gone out of the petal, because all the flower color is now on the fabric like that. This one doesn't give the most definition, although you can see it on the edges, and you do see, I love the seeds. I think that looks so cool. Anyways, let's do some more. So next I'm gonna grab this leaf. A lot of herbs are good for this process. I'm gonna go next to it. This one's just gonna be kind of a higgledy-piggledy pattern, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. I'm trying to remember if it was with the veins up is stronger, or the veins like, you know what, I'm gonna try like...
counterintuitive.
It was counterintuitive, whatever it was. So I guess actually for the strongest color, you're gonna wanna put it with the bottom down, so the pretty side is up, and you're like, that seems weird. We're gonna try it out, but that's my guess. Again, I'm going to kind of do gentle taps just to kind of flatten it out and kind of get a perimeter. But I can tell already that this leaf is gonna need a lot more pressure on it than the flower. You're gonna have to work a little bit harder to get the color out of this. So, I don't know if you can hear the difference. This is like a way more violent version of those crayon rubbings that you did, like with the leaves, and you like sandwich like put it on the top of the paper or under the paper, and then just like the pattern would kind of slowly pop up. That was my favorite project in school. Whoa, so cool. I think we did it right. Look at that. That is so cool. Every time this gets me. Okay, let's look at on the other side, on this pink here. Oh, that's so pretty. It looks like a fossilized leaf, if that is such a thing. So let me now show you what a mirror image would look like. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna show you some marigolds. To use something like a marigold, I would not just place it down and smack it. There's so many petals and so much pigment in this that you can just chop it off like that, and seriously just lay a couple down like this. And now I'm gonna do the sandwich trick. So I'm gonna fold it over, kind of like that. Now we're gonna go for it. But see, did you see that? You missed it. Come closer. Look, I'm on one here. Like, that was so fast. They're just like confetti. I think I got them all. You see here, my beautiful fun little confetti. And over here is my fun little confetti. So they're gonna line up here. So that's what it would look like if you did the mirror image of things. So we found this little blue flower at the side of the road. I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but that's the fun thing about this process, is you can just lay down, play with it. If you don't like it, you can always layer on top of it and it makes like a cool two-toned look. So that's a really fun thing too. If you don't love how something turned out the first time, you can just wait for it to dry and then put another flower on top of it. Let's put this down. And one thing to be mindful when you're hammering is you don't want to go too hard because you might break the fabric, and you definitely want to be very careful about angling the hammer. So if you're right on the edge of the hammer, you're much more likely to bust open the fabric and rip it. Just be careful when you're doing that. That's the only danger that we got going on here. Definitely you want to make sure you have a solid print, but sometimes actually just going over like lighter taps more frequent is better than like really wailing on it. So even if it looks like I'm beating on it really hard, I'm not putting my full strength into it. I think that gave us a good print. Let's look. I think that's super cool. See, you can just find things on the side of the road. I don't know if it will be color fast, but it was definitely cool to see. I love the kind of like spikiness that it gives. Now I've decided that this is enough. I like how it looks, and I think it also gives people space if they buy it and they want to add some more to it, then that gives them some space to play around with as well. But what you need to make sure you do now is double check that you got all the skeletons off. So I'm going to go back in and just kind of rub my nail lightly over each flower and just make sure I get as much off, because if you leave too much on, like of the seeds and of the petals, more likely it is to bleed in the wash, which there's gonna probably be some bleeding no matter what you do, and it's all fine, but you just try to minimize it. So I'm just gonna go over and get as much off, and then we're going to rinse these in some cold water. Again, trying to get as much of this off as we can before washing it. So this is what we have so far on both sides. And we're gonna rinse it off in just plain tap water. We have city water. Is that what we have?
Yeah.
That's what we have. So we're just gonna rinse this off in some city water. Down we go, give it a rinse. And since we were physically forcing the dye into the fabric, there's going to be some dye that's left on the surface that couldn't be soaked into the fabric. So that's why we rinse it. You can already see that it's getting kind of murky as we're rinsing off that extra dye, extra. I was trying to say both at the same time. And that's why we also wash it after we hammer dye it with some soap, because that will double check that there's no excess dye on it that will bleed onto other stuff later on.
Great. Looks good. Wonderful. Gorgeous.
All the adjectives. There's the pink one.
Beautiful.
I know, this one's really nice, isn't it?
Because I love it. I want that one so badly.
Yeah? Oh, I want the other one. That works perfectly.
Yeah.
And you can see too, it got off little bits that we missed. See, like there's some little leaves and seeds and stuff like that. So that's another helpful thing of doing a pre-rinse. Okay, off to the laundry machine. The pH neutral detergent, and this is the one that we use.
We'll put it on gentle. We'll put it on cold.
Cold.
Small.
A little bit of that soap that we talked about, pH neutral. Bye-bye. Here is our beautiful finished project. I could have run over a cool iron on this to get rid of those little wrinkles, but I was just too impatient. You don't really see them when you're wearing them anyways. But just stunning. So much detail in every flower or leaf. And it was super fun to do, very creative. Here's the pink one. Let me know which one is your favorite. I would have a hard time choosing because I think the grids and then having the flowers inside the grid is really cool. But this one's also super duper pretty. Well, that's it. You now know how to hammer dye, and I hope you all learned something. I hope you had fun watching the video and then feel inspired to go out and try this yourself. I'll have some resources in the description box, whether products from my store that you can pick up and add your own flowers to, or some other stuff. I'm not really sure, but you'll find out later when this is posted. So I'll have that down for you so you can continue the learning journey and hopefully pick up a new craft and really enjoy making something beautiful. And that's always the goal, is just to enrich our lives with beauty. And I hope you enjoyed this. I think I said that already. If you did, please like, subscribe. That helps me a lot with my channel, and that helps me produce more videos like this. It also helps YouTube know what you are interested in seeing, so maybe you'll find another video on hammer dyeing and learn even more. So just make sure you hit the subscribe and the like button, and if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it. As always, stay quacky. I mean, obviously you need a hammer because it's hammer dyeing, so grab yourself one of this. No, the wind distracted me. So after you have, oh my goodness!